Alright, happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome to another live recording of my indie show, Indie Inquiries, where we review Steam store pages and provide marketing advice on how best to showcase your game on Steam. And we are always looking for more titles to check out. For today's show, we're going to be checking out the game Out of Memories. This is a kind of, I believe, short form horror, kind of looking like the Atari, very like first generation console style. The developer reached out and was interested in me checking out the game, and that is what we are going to do. And again, if you'd like me to look at your game for a future stream and show, please get in touch. So, as always, we're going to begin this episode with looking at our thumbnail / capsule. So I'm going to be zooming in for you folks right here. So I was looking at this before I decided to do the recording / episode here. And I think structurally speaking, this is a good thumbnail. The issue that I have with this one is that there's nothing that is genuinely like eye-catching to it. There's something that's really attracting someone's eye. Like when I look at this, like the first thing my eyes immediately go to is probably like the red or this bright, like kind of lime green of the pixel. And that's it. There's nothing here. Like you can see our little character, whether they're good, evil, it's kind of hard to tell at the moment, but there's nothing that's really attractive to the eye in this thumbnail. Structurally speaking, again, this is kind of what we kind of see from a lot of indie developers. So you have a very kind of bold or something that's going to take front center, and then maybe something on the side here, or something on the side over there. The problem that this one has, again, is that, and especially for horror, as we all know, is a genre that has become very much about that kind of like in your face or just showing something that looks all cute and cuddly, except it's not, and it's going to kill you. And when we get down to looking at a GIF and the trailer in a few minutes, I feel like there's some potential there to use that for this thumbnail. As this is a game that is about you, well, dying a lot, as it even says right here. And I think it could have been somewhat striking to maybe have like a death scene, or like your little pixel character just destroyed on the thumbnail. Again, something that is bright, something that catches your eye and kind of lets you look at this for more than a few seconds. I'll even imagine maybe something being like out of memories, like on this side, and then maybe showing like a little pixel guy and like a chainsaw, buzzsaw about to hit them, or it's already hit them. Again, something that is going like, what? What just happened there? So, for the grade of our capsule here, again, this is not a bad one, but for marketing a game, it's not, I think, eye-catching enough. There's still nothing that is really standing out, nothing that's really going to attract someone to look at this. So, again, for a grade like this, I don't think this gets into the D range, simply by the fact that it is structured very well. I think I'm going to give this just an average C for a thumbnail. And again, I think there is potential to do something that stands out or does something that is interesting. But again, it's very hard, especially in a space that is dominated by a lot of very kind of like eye-popping, whether it's, hey, it's a cute character, or here's just like some 8-headed creature with 17 eyes coming to get you, that you can put into a capsule and into your thumbnail. And as we say as I say a lot on the show, what we're reviewing here is the marketing around the game. We're not talking about the gameplay, we're not talking about how it plays or anything like that. So, depending upon the developer, especially for those of you watching, you are going to either have a lot of advantages based on your game, or you have a lot of disadvantages. If you're working on something that is going to be like very 3D, or you have very striking or original art, you can use it in your thumbnail and immediately catch eyes. If you're working with something that's more retro-minded, or even something like a visual novel, that becomes a lot harder to stand out. So, like I said, we're going to be seeing some of the more like ways of dying in this game in the next few minutes, and I want everyone who's watching this, whether you're enjoying this live or recorded, to kind of like take note of the death images that you're going to be seeing. Now, again, like for those of you watching, this is all going to be done in the Atari style, so it's not going to be like super gory, violent, that kind of thing. Here is the trailer for Out of Memories. I don't know how loud this is going to be, so I'm going to kind of lower and we'll play it by, well, a literal ear. I like that it kind of just starts right into the action of like any like getting, you know, coming soon by and so on. And that is our trailer. So there's some good parts about this, but there's some parts that I think do kind of hurt a little bit. Now, being under 30 seconds, again, for something like this, I think it works. Like as we say in previous videos, you want your trailer to be no more than 1:20, but ideally, shorter is better, especially you can kind of encapsulate what makes your game stand out. Now, as I said, I like that it kind of starts right into the mystery of it. The problem that I have with this is that it's still kind of hard to tell. You're just like searching for trailers or you just see this on YouTube. What is this game? And this part right here, Get Ready to Die, I feel like this text with, let me get back over here, with like this kind of background, it kind of is a little bit hard on the eyes in terms of like this standing out from that point. Now, one part that I do like about this trailer is right here. I like kind of like showing like a little bit, looks like a slime devouring the player. But what's missing from this trailer, I think there's 2 points. If this is supposed to be horror, like we get like this little jump scare at like the last moment. There's nothing here that's really like screaming horror to me. The music I think fits, like this kind of like echoing, almost like a back rooms, or like you don't know quite where you're going. What I would have really have liked as kind of like the other thing missing from this trailer is that like one like major moment. We've talked about this a lot in trailers, that you want to end the trailer on that kind of wow moment for your game, like something that you could even just cut out of the trailer and use as like a 2 to 3 second GIF of what makes your game stand out among everyone else. When we looked at that Andy Blast game, like that was like an episode ago or 2 episodes ago, I mentioned all like the different ways your character could be dying. And when we played that second trailer, and like you had like it end with like Andy getting like killed by like a giant bat or like falling into acid, that was a good moment. This one doesn't quite have it. Like you can see that the character is technically dying right here, but it's green on green on green. It's very hard to notice. I guess here's a question for those of you watching this live or recorded. I want to play this right here for a second. If I didn't point out that the character died, did you notice how that character died there in that last like 5, or actually more like 3 seconds of footage? Because I'm going to show you when we get to the About This Game section that there is another GIF that they use for a character death that I think is far more striking and could really have been used here in the trailer and as well in the thumbnail. Overall, this is another one that it shows a variety of gameplay. It's still kind of hard to tell what you're going to be doing. We have like 2D, we have top-down, we have first-person adventure or RPG. Looks like match, RPG again. I'm not even quite sure how the guy died there. Let's see. I have no idea how he died. Yeah, again, that is kind of the limitation of the specific style. As I said in the first part, you do have to work within the constraints of your art style and your aesthetic. But yeah, again, like it's very hard to make out some of these effects. Like, I'm not quite sure how he died there. There again, I saw like this little like head pop off. This is one where, again, I feel like the main thing that's missing from this trailer, or sorry, for this trailer, is that standout, like some kind of like, at least for this game, like maybe a graphic death, maybe an actual monster, just something again that kind of sticks in the person's mind that's going to get them to play this. I like kind of having like the what is that, binary or just like basic code kind of like dropping off of the stuff there. And was that in the yeah, it's not showing here. I wonder if that could help out a little bit, maybe just add like a little bit more flair to the bottom of this thumbnail. So, as a grade for this, again, it fits a good structure. I think it shows off a variety of stuff from the game, but just like the capsule, it's not doing anything that is kind of like attracting or keeping someone's attention. Again, I don't feel like this deserves like in the D range. I don't know if I would give it. I think I'm going to lean towards, I'm going to say C minus C for it, because I feel it's good, or I feel it's okay, but it's just not, I think, doing enough. Like, if someone, sight unseen watches this, I don't think what's here is going to get someone to check out more of this game. If it just had like one like bah moment that like scares you, or again is shocking to the person or to the viewer, it would do, I think, a lot more to kind of cement in their minds. But with that, let's get to our images. Now, this is going to be a little bit tricky, because again, when you have a game of this style, it's very easy for everything to kind of blend together. So we have a total of 6 images, so let's see. They feel a little zoomed in. Like, I feel like maybe we could have used a higher resolution, because it's a little hard to make out what's going on. Maybe even just zoom in to the point where you can only see like a little bit of the monitor and have this image. David with the head of Goliath. Again, if I have to lean in to see your image, that's not a good sign. Ooh. And again, like, this image, I think, is a good encapsulation of the challenge of marketing a game like this. Like, if you have a trailer and it's just showing all this code, a lot of people are not going to be tuning into that. That is very hard on the eyes if we zoom that in more. Now, this was kind of shown in the trailer, and again, you want your images here to be different than what's in the trailer of your game. So it looks like this is probably the most standout of the images, as the fact that we actually have a little different color here to go with it. So again, for a grade like this, they are meeting the bare minimum of 5 original images for, because only this one, I think, has been shown in the trailer. Maybe this one? It's hard to tell. But again, it still has that issue where none of it is really standing out, nor is it really like showing off something that is going to attract someone's eye. And the fact that these images are also kind of more like zoomed out does make it a little bit harder to like understand like what it is that we're looking at. The fact that, again, I have to kind of squint or get a little bit closer just to read this. And again, this is kind of like clicking on the image itself is not a good sign. So, grade-wise for this, I think I'm going to have to give it... I think with the fact that it's hard to make out, and that there still isn't like one like amazing image to go for this game, I think I'm going to have to give it a D plus C minus for the images. Simply by the fact that they're not really showing off, again, what makes this game interesting or special. And as I've been kind of teasing for the last few minutes, there's a really good GIF that we're going to get to next that should, I think, be used more in the marketing for this game or something similar to that effect. So with that, let us scroll down. We're going to take a look at this about this game section. So, part of Nosferatu Jam. Okay. Real. So we have good structure here. You have your kind of sections here. They are properly in a different color to stand out. This is a good size in terms of paragraphs as well. Again, like 3 to 4 lines, maybe at most 5, is kind of what you want in terms of each one of your paragraphs here. Phosphor green. And this right here, this is a good GIF, especially for kind of like a horror game of this style. And more importantly, you can tell what is happening. Our lovely little character here just got squashed flat. That is really good. And I think something like this should be more used in the marketing, and especially for the trailer. Like, you see here, like, a creature between walls eaten by a shark or gruesome smiling monster. That should be something that's in the trailer. Like, if you have, like, a very, like, original death in a game like this, like, that should be your final shot of the trailer. Like, if it's, like, some, like, cute character, maybe, like, one of, like, those old smiley faces from, what was it, Baseball... Oh, man, I forget the name of that game. From the 80s. There's like a bunch of like floating like smiles like shooting at each other. Like if you had something like that, it was like a smiley face. He comes and he goes, oh, and he eats you. That could be a really good like capper for your trailer. And that's the word I keep forgetting when I do these in the inquiries. You want a capper to your trailer. That one final scene that resonates and sticks with the person. And again, that is something that you can also market as a GIF for your game. Like this is a really good GIF for a horror game. Like imagine you could promote this on social media saying, you know, old school game where, you know, 256 K of murder. Or 256 text characters of death. And just show our character just go dead like that. Because that's what you want to see for a horror game like this. And hey, Foreign, thanks for catching this live. You want that kind of, what is this game? Like, what am I even looking at here? I mean, look at this. We have all these different ways of dying. Electrocution, beheading, getting crushed, and so on. And just like with Andy Blast, if you're going to have like a unique selling point, you want to show that off. It's not enough to just say it in your text. Now, as for the overall structure of this About This Game section, it's good. I do think it could maybe use one more GIF. Maybe like for something that's as short as this, maybe like a GIF up here and a GIF down here, just to kind of sandwich everything together. And again, with this being more of a short form game, again, like this, obviously this can't be like a 8-page About This Game section. So, grade-wise, it does do a bit better because of having this GIF here. This is probably, again, the best marketing that I've seen for this game on the store page. And to Foreign's comment in chat, honestly, I don't remember the last time I actually read all the text on a store page. Again, that's why images and GIFs are your friends. And why when we do these shows, a lot of this stuff kind of all ties together. If you have a really attractive thumbnail with unique art, you can use some of that art or something similar for your trailer. And if you have something that stands out, that really catches someone's eye, you want to use that in your About This Game section. And if you have something that's really attractive there, you can promote that on social media. Again, it's very easy to discount the power of GIFs, but 3 to 5 seconds of just something, just sheer WTF for a game can be all you need to get people to look at your title. Again, we've seen the likes of Dave Oshry, Derek Leo? I think I may have just butchered his name there. And so on, who, when they find like an interesting trailer or interesting game, they will promote that on their social medias. And you don't need it to be overly long. If you remember from last year, that whole game with the meme of squirrel with a gun, that all it took was like one person like talking about it negatively, and then it just blew up all over the place. That's the kind of things you want, especially for horror. Again, with so many games doing horror, it's short form, it's long form, it's cutesy horror, it's spoofy horror, it's, twist horror. You need to be able to kind of give someone that, this is my horror, in 2 to 3 seconds. So I think like the biggest suggestion I would give to the store page is you want to market more like this. Give me like more of these kinds of creative deaths. Show this on social media and definitely get something that's like stand out. Maybe not the the most absolute craziest death in your game, but maybe short to it as the capper for your trailer. Because that's the kind of stuff that, again, it's going to get people interested in your game. It's going to make them want to check things out more. So, the grade-wise for this. Structurally, it's good. I think it could be a little bit better with maybe just one more GIF here. I don't think this is enough to get into B range, but I do feel it's higher than a C. I'm going to give this a C to C+. And a lot of that is definitely carried on the back of having this GIF right here. But again, for developers watching this right now, I want to stress this point. Having this be at the bottom of your store page doesn't quite help sell your game. Because if someone didn't click on your store page out of the capsule art, then they're not going to check out your trailer. And they don't check out the trailer, they're not going to scroll down. And they're not going to scroll down, they're not going to look at this. And it's why we kind of grade starting with your thumbnail first. Because that's going to be kind of, again, first reaction of your game to the consumer. If that is good, you kind of have half the battle won. Because we have seen plenty of games, and when I look at a lot of stuff from Next Fest or Horror Fest or pick any fest, that if the thumbnail is catchy, if it's something that just sticks out, that is oftentimes enough to get someone to check the game out further. Now, of course, all this has to be backed up with having an amazing game. But we are talking about marketing right now. We're not talking about the actual gameplay. And to Florence comments, we always have to cinematic game reel. Show me the gameplay. And again, for horror or any kind of very like action-heavy, reflex-driven, or just shocking genre, that's the kind of stuff you want to market your game around. When we checked out Spirit X Strike, the kind of like over-the-top action game, like the trailer is just based on the character dash countering around the entire stage, punching people in the air. Like, again, like this is the stuff that you can really make use of for your marketing. And when you look at something with horror, like that was Amanda the Adventurer game that everyone's been playing lately. Like the trailer, I'm sure, has at least one scene where that monster is, coming at the player, or you can also do kind of the fake out, where it's all super cute and happy, and then like the last 3 seconds, boom, something gets you. But again, it's that capper that you want for your trailer, and the capper has to be gameplay related. It has to be something that the player is going to be able to experience in the game, not just something that's in, excuse me, like an uninteractable cutscene, or just one stock image. So we are moving right along. Let's get to our title card here. There we go. Now, of course, the title card is most importantly for Steam and the algorithm in terms of trying to get it to recognize your game and promote it to other people. So we have Adventure Indie. This is not good. For one thing, it's missing a very, very obvious tag, horror. We could have horror somewhere here. It's also missing the gimme of single player. And you want to have, again, no fewer than 3 genre tags. Because, as I said a second ago, this is not for the consumer. The consumer does not care if you have the right tags here. This is more like what we talk about with tags and proper video descriptions on YouTube. This is for the platform to be able to recognize what your game is. And to be honest, I'm not even quite sure if this would count as an adventure game. Because I'm not seeing really, like, exploration. I mean, given, like, the variety of elements here, you could also really go, like, above and beyond. Like, is there RPG combat? We could put RPG here. Is a player solving puzzles? Have puzzles. But not having anything horror-related does feel kind of like a misstep here. Now, and like the more like this is also kind of proof. Like Fear the Spotlight, I know that this is survival horror. Never heard of the Baby in Yellow. Late Homework. This, like, I don't know if this game is related to a Metroidvania or not. But this is probably the first like major misstep, I would say, for the store page. Because again, you don't want to just rely on word of mouth. As someone who's been struggling with that with my YouTube channel, I can certainly attest to that. You want to have proper genre tags. Because this is, again, how people will start to notice, or Steam will start to notice what your game is and mention it around. As a very important point, and this is something that should be coming up way more as people are migrating out of Twitter, or Twitter X, that you can have a Blue Sky profile on your store page beyond just, a YouTube channel, a Discord link, etc., etc. So for any indie developers right now who have made the move or are exclusively using Blue Sky, make sure you include that right here. Now, there is no other contacts here. I don't believe they have a Discord or anything like that. So, again, it's kind of like what you have to make use of. So, the title card is, again, where you can either score really high or really low, because it is just more of a kind of formality in terms of setting this up. But when you mess it up, it can come back to bite you. Now, there are games where the genre tags don't really matter. If we're talking about like a famous game or something that already has hundreds of thousands of sales, the genre doesn't mean anything at that point. Like if we're talking about, a game like Elden Ring or Doom or Ultra Kill, they could use as many or as few genre tags as you would like. If you're a new developer starting out, again, as long as they relate to your game. You don't want to say that, hey, my game is a first-person shooter visual novel cooking, and it's a match 3 game. But single player and indie are your gimmies. They're the ones that you can just have for any game where it's applicable. What you do want are the genre tags that fit within your specific niche. Again, adventure, horror, Metroidvania, platformer, whatever. So, because this doesn't meet the bare minimum of 3 genre tags, it definitely can't get into the C range. I like that they at least have their social media here. And again, if you're not on Blue Sky, if you're still on Twitter X, if you're on, I don't even know what else is out there, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, like whatever is your primary social media contact, the way that people can find you, that is what you want here. Because this is the easiest way for someone to start mentioning you. And that is a good point for it. If it only has light puzzles, yeah. Like if puzzle is not, again, the genre tags are the focal or the focus of your game. If it is about puzzle game, if it is about survival horror, if it's about platforming, visual novel, shooter, whatever, that's what you want your genre tag to be. And again, the reason why you want minimum of 3 is that single player, or if it's a multiplayer game, multiplayer and indie are kind of gimmies. They're too, what's the word I'm thinking of? They're not specific enough to help narrow down your game in the algorithm. Single player game, wow, there's how many single player games are on Steam? How many indie games are on Steam? I'm sure it's only 20, right? But that's why you want very strong genre identifiers. Because if you're building a first-person shooter and Steam thinks your game is like Doki Doki Literature Club, something is not right there in terms of how it's being marketed. So, the grade-wise for this, the one good tag is adventure. But again, it's still not meeting the requirement. You have the social media presence, and as another point, if you do have a Discord or something along those lines, make sure to include it here as well. I think I will give this, I don't, like, adventure I think is a good genre tag for this, but still missing horror. I think I will give the title card D+. Again, if it's not meeting the bare requirement or the bare minimum, I can't give it a C. I don't think it's bad enough because you have a really good genre tag and you do have social media to go straight to a D or lower. But I don't think it gets higher enough than that. To take us to the end of our store page review for today, we're going to give it the overall grade. And for those of you who are new, once again, we start with the trailer and we use that, or use the remaining grades as kind of an aggregate or to raise or lower that, as the trailer is the average. And the reason why the trailer is the average is that that is going to be your primary selling point. That's what you want to show to people on other social media channels. That's what you want to be able to really sell your game on. So, this time, I made sure to write down all the grades before we got here. I gave the trailer a C-C. The highest grade I gave this was a CC+, and the lowest grade I gave this was a D+. So everything is kind of kept within like 1 to 2 grades. So the bad news is I don't think there's enough strength on the start page to move the grade up, but it's not bad enough, I think, to move it down. So the final grade for Out of Memories for my store page review is a C-C, which unfortunately it is below average. It's slightly below average. But there are elements here that, again, I think could move this up quite a bit. If you do have, like, one thing that I notice is, let me see, where was it? Saw it on the thumbnail. Like, this looks like some kind of, like, spooky monster, like, right here. Like, again, like, if you can show off something that is, like, again, striking to the person, you could put that in the thumbnail. Like, I saw on the trailer, where is it? There was, like, a rat attacking you. There it is. Like, even something as simple as, you know, spooky 256k character like ASCII rat about to murder you. Like, that is, I think, far more interesting, and it's far more striking to have on here. Because, again, like, we look at this thumbnail, I think a lot of attention will be, like, kind of, like, to, like, maybe, like, this fluorescent green, or to the red of the pixel. They may not even notice, like, what this is. And there's just nothing that we're seeing that is that one standout for a horror game. And like I said, like, having, like, more examples of, like, these kinds of, like, over-the-top, or I guess over-the-top for ASCII death scenes is another great way to make your game stand out. I mean, whatever is, like, again, like, a really good scare, really surprising, like, scare or kill in your game, that should be in your trailer. And that's also what you want to have as a GIF or something you can show on social media. Because ultimately, again, what we talk about with indie inquiries and when we talk about indie marketing, it's all about trying to create that snowball effect. I have this amazing GIF that, turns heads. So people check out my store page. I have this just out of this world thumbnail that just captures your eye. So you click on that. And then you watch the trailer, and it's so amazing. Or it has that moment that just sticks out with you, so you have to check out the rest of this game. And it's why, again, that when we talk about games that blow up along these lines, it is very much that case of the rich getting richer or the snowball. One really good GIF, especially for a horror game or for an action game or anything like that, it can do gangbusters for you as an indie developer. Do not discount that as a source of marketing. And when you can capture that and really show it off on your store page, it will help you out. And unfortunately, as we can see, the game still has no user reviews. And that, unfortunately, is another issue when it comes to Steam. As we know, Steam will not even grant you kind of like an overall review score unless you have at least 10 reviews, I believe, is still the number. And what we see, unfortunately, from a lot of indie games like this is that if you don't have a strong opening week, or maybe even just opening 48 to 72 hours, it becomes that much harder for Steam to recommend your game to other people. And when they don't recommend your game to other people, again, you can see what happens when it comes to people not checking these games out. So that, I think, is going to do it for the store page. I have another one that was recommended to me that we'll check out for next time. And again, if you let me to your store page and provide marketing advice, I promise I do not bite all that much, despite Nosferatu right here. I'm always looking for store pages to check out. But with that said, you'll find a link to the game down below. If you have any other comments, be sure to get them in on the recorded form. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. For the live folks watching, we'll be back later tonight for our multiplayer night stream. Do the YouTubing stuff, check out the Discord, bug me about indie games, store pages, and more. And have a great evening and a great weekend. And come back for daily discussions on game design here, and on game wisdom, where you some of the art and science of games.